Welcome to the Retrospect podcast, a show where people come together from different walks of life and discuss a topic from their generation's perspective. My name is Ian, and as always, I'm joined by Stoney.
Hello.
And Jason.
Hello, everyone.
How's it going?
Another day.
Another day.
Man, huh?
Yeah, all's good right now.
Yeah.
The weather is beautiful outside after a week of nothing but rain.
I would like to update our listeners. I have, since my accident and my surgery, I have lost a tremendous amount of weight. Well, as of last night, I have lost some more weight.
Uh-oh. I don't know where this is going.
As my balance has not improved,
Oh, gosh.
I was trying to assist Hottie Dr. Miranda in the kitchen. I turned to do something, lost my balance, and I grabbed something sharp, and I cut my fingertip off.
Oh, my gosh. You need to calm down.
Now she is not only threatening to wrap me in bubble wrap in May and wearing a helmet, now she wants me to have bubble wrap Kevlar gloves.
There you go.
Yeah, you need something, Stoney.
I cannot believe this.
Hold on. I'm going to go ahead and...
Just going to put you in the bubble like that old movie where the kid was in the bubble.
The boy in the bubble?
The boy in the bubble.
I'm going to add chainmail to my Amazon wish list for Christmas.
Yes, that's a good idea.
Yes. So I am continuing.
Be at the Renaissance Festival next year.
Oddly enough, I do not recommend this weight loss plan to anybody.
Well, you know.
But
you're talking about trimming weight.
man. Okay, Ian gets to start for the day. That was good.
That was a good one.
Okay.
Yes. So I'm continuing.
Just trimmed a little bit.
You know, just a little bit.
Yes. Wow.
I'm sorry. I had to. It was right there. All right. And well, with all of that, I know we've had some really great episodes come out recently. Some wonderful guests that I think would have been on, but there's a lot of stuff happening recently that I don't think, at least personally, I don't know all the stuff that's going around it, which is why I had asked to possibly talk about this episode. And it's the conflict that's going on at the crisis that's going on at the Texas border area.
Yeah, that's a bad situation right now. It's you've got the federal government is basically being very derelict in their duties, and I don't think they're living up to their constitutional bargain they have with each state to defend each state.
Right.
And I think Texas is basically had enough, and they have activated their National Guard, and they've sent their units down there to the border, and they've been putting up razor wire and stuff like that. And
so I know that this, like, the beginnings of this conflict, I think, has been a thing for a while. But was there something recently that like started the fire, like, or was it just been like the?
Well, I have this I pulled up. Okay. It's called Operation Lone Star. And this is from Austin, Texas. It's dated January 26th of 2024.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, since the launch of Operation Lone Star, the multi-agency effort has led to over 496,700 illegal immigrant apprehensions, more than 38,700 criminal arrests, with more than 35,100 felony charges. In the fight against the fentanyl crisis, Texas law enforcement has seized over 454 million lethal doses of fentanyl during this border mission. They have also transported over 12,500 migrants to Washington, D.C. since April of 2022, over 37,500 migrants to New York City since August of 2022, over 31,200 migrants to Chicago since August of 2022, over 3,400 migrants to Philadelphia since November of 2022, 16,000 migrants to December since May 18th. That had to have been of last year.
Yeah.
Over 1,500 migrants to Los Angeles since June 14th of last year. So, they're actually taking matters in their own hands, and unfortunately, the federal government is throwing a tantrum right now. Right. And I think recently the Supreme Court just kind of
They didn't necessarily rule on something.
They didn't rule on the merits.
They didn't rule on the merits, but they said, yeah, you can go in there and cut the razor wire.
Right, because it's federal.
Because it's federal land or something.
Right.
But it's the Texas border, and Article 4 of the Constitution says the United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government and shall protect each state against invasion on application of the legislature or the executive when the legislature cannot be convened against domestic violence.
See, I think the court case is revolving around this word invasion.
Invasion.
That's the key.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. Joe Biden brought this on himself because he was caught on a hot mic saying he was going to stop Texas from arresting or deporting men of military age from entering this country. So he brought the word invasion to himself because why else would he want to stop or not stop military-age men from entering the country?
This doesn't even make sense to me. I never thought in my wildest dream that I would see what I'm seeing right now. Mm-hmm. I have my opinions, and there the pundits are out there that are talking about this issue, and it depends on where you fall politically on this issue. You know, the right-leaning would say, oh, they're trying to buy they're trying to basically secure
the votes,
for basically Democrats to win in perpetuity. And the left will tell you, no, we're offering sanctuary for people leaving dangerous situations. Mm-hmm. I think what's happening now kind of really goes beyond the pale of the idea that everybody is coming from some disastrous thing of wherever they, whatever the reason why they end up picking up their bags and leaving. So I think there's something else going on. I do believe there are a lot of merits to what people are saying regarding, since there's been this absent leadership on this issue, or whoever the president's handlers are, his inner council of people that kind of runs the show. I do believe that this is a way of, I think in their minds, is to be able to secure votes. It's the only thing that makes sense, but based upon just the number of bodies coming across, that has never happened before. So, and then not absolutely doing nothing about it, not even trying to make an attempt, to make them, to stop them. And what gets me, and I mentioned it before. This is what, to me, why I feel this way, because when Trump was in office and he asked Congress for $20 billion for the wall, and I remember that, and all I heard from Democrats and Republicans were saying, oh, we can't afford that. But meanwhile, we've now given over $100 billion to Ukraine, where we're flat out paying for their government, paying for their government employees, their pensions, everything, and we can't even spend $20 billion to secure our own southern border. What's going on there? I mean, nothing else makes sense other than that's what they want, is to have no border. They just want whoever's coming in to come in.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't get it. I'm kind of horrified, actually, of what this is going to mean. How many unvaccinated children, diseases that you might be reintroducing into this country that we have pretty much wiped out, or it's down to a minimal event. And I do. Terrorist cells, we know, just like Stoney mentioned, you got military-age men coming across the border.
Well, actually, since Joe Biden has been in office, 300 terror watch list people have come across the border. And when Trump was in office, it was less than 3. Okay. So let me give you a couple numbers here. All right. Fiscal year 24 year to date. So, 988,819 total enforcement actions of people crossing the border. Fiscal year 23, 3,201,144,000. Fiscal year 22, 2.7 million. Fiscal year 21, 1.9 million. Fiscal year 20, 646,000.
Jeez.
That's just coming across the
mean,
border.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, the idea that you have people that right now obviously in power that want no border.
They don't.
They don't want a border. And what does that mean in real life?
Well, you know, there was a really good-looking and smart host of a podcast who said a couple of episodes back that the money going to the Ukraine was for money laundering, and the open border was for votes. And wow, was I proven right? Because that's what's happening once again. If we can't put a couple of $1 billion into securing our border, but we can send how many more $1 billion to Ukraine? Oh, wait, to secure their border?
Right. And you know what?
I'm sorry, what?
And guess where else there's razor wire and a wall at right now? Around Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're terrified that another January 6th. And maybe if you were running the country properly where you were not angering so many people beyond the pale, maybe you're living with fear. Maybe you're doing something you shouldn't be doing. You know, I just, to me, this idea just, I mean, it's gotten to a point with me that I just can't help but just sit here and just look at this and go, you know, who owns you that you're doing this? What, are you so compromised that you can't do the right thing?
Right.
I do not believe that Texas entered the Union at the time it did without an understanding that the United States was going to defend its border.
That's right. Absolutely.
That's part of the deal.
That's been part of the deal since the first 13. That was the original Article 4 of the Constitution, says we're a loosely grouped arena,
Right.
and we're going to protect you. That's where your money is going.
Well, yeah, the common defense, right? Well, was it 25 Republican governors have backed Governor Greg Abbott? So this is going to be interesting. I don't think we have not been this close to a national divorce, I think, since the election of Abraham Lincoln.
Wow.
I really, there's so much just outright the federal government not doing its job.
Right.
That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
They're basically breaking their own law.
They're trying to impeach Mayorkas right now, the head of Homeland Security, because he is obviously not doing his job.
Because he's been told probably not to do anything.
He can't even get it close to right. Did you know that Customs is the largest law enforcement agency that the government has? And they want more money. Think about this. They want more money, and they can't even use the principles that they have right now, but they want more money to increase it. They want to arm the IRS. What do you think's coming? What do you think's coming?
That's what I'm saying. We're sitting here. They're spending this. I'm saying they're spending this money. Basically, want to attack its own citizens for all intents and purposes.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just let whoever walk in the country. We could care less. We don't do anything about that. I mean, I'm just like, what fantasy world did we just wake up into?
Right. I find it interesting that there's 25 states that have backed Texas so far.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's literally split down the middle.
And if you look actually at the map,
Right.
it's kind of literally split down the middle.
Exactly.
Oddly enough, California's not in that.
Oh, of course not.
No.
I hope you weren't surprised by that.
No, not at all.
I don't know. I don't know where the Supreme Court, how this is going to work. I know Biden has given them the ultimatum. I know Abbott. The question is, when at the end of the day, it's all the marbles, are they going to stand strong? And I think they will.
Yeah, that was the map I was looking for as well.
Yep,
Stoney just showed me the map of the people that have actually backed.
That's just the ones to date. So far.
Right.
Actually, I think today our Attorney General of Louisiana sent a letter to the president stating that Louisiana supports the efforts from Texas to secure their border.
Well,
because, as we found out in our last episode from Father Bailly, that the I-10 corridor is what they're using to traffic humans,
the cartels are controlling everything right now, and they're building the necessary networks in to be able to survive long after Biden's gone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get this.
You know what? And I'm a fiscal conservative with liberal tendencies. Okay, I believe that there are a lot of people out there who need help. You're just going to tell me how we're going to pay for it. But I heard the stupidest comment on some video. I don't remember where, thanks to my brain damage here. Somebody said, but razor wire is so dangerous. Not if you don't attempt to cross the stupid shit. It's not dangerous at all, is it?
Right.
But the poor people are going to get cut. No, don't try to cross it. Don't try to jump over it. Don't try to walk through it.
We could have, this border wall could have been built, which would have helped tremendously to have control of this issue. And like a bunch of just nincompoops, they stopped the funding as soon as Biden took office, and we're in this disaster that we're in right now. And I'm telling you, it's going to affect the entire country. And, of course, now, the paranoid side of me says this is a way for them to basically, for the Democratic Party, basically to secure, because really, ultimately, if they flip, based upon voting right now, if they flip Texas to Democrat, then for all intents and purposes, a Republican will never get elected again as president. It's just the numbers or the math is going to be, it's just not going to be workable anymore. And I just, something about it tells me that this is what they want to do. They want to destroy, I hate to say it, they want to destroy these blue states. And these red states. And because people are leaving the blue states.
Right.
Because they don't want all the taxes and everything else that's going on in the problems of living in those states. Where are they moving to? Where are they moving to? Florida? They're moving to Texas. They're moving to Tennessee. They're moving to North Carolina.
I have
they're moving to all these traditionally red states that had a good quality of life.
There's a lot of people that I know that at one point in time lived in California, but now have moved to Texas. A lot of people I used to know, artists and people that lived in Los Angeles specifically, are now living in Texas because of cheaper housing and taxes and things like that.
In the 80s, California was by far, was the richest. It had the best. It had very high ranking public schools, quality of life. Taxes were relatively low. Now, it's a shame that that's a beautiful state. That's just the politics in that state have just become so unbearable to live there. And people say, you know what? During COVID, you shut everything down. You were having these draconian measures.
Right.
It's just the tendency to kind of do this squirrely stuff in these states. It just makes these people, you know what? I may have my problems with the red state and some of its politics.
Yeah.
But, at least they're sane. At least the people believe in freedom.
Right. But now because of that, I wonder if this whole border thing is causing the changeover of, political leanings as well as people leaving the other states because they're not, profitable to live there anymore. It's like being attacked from both sides is what I'm saying. So like you were saying before, if it's not one, it's probably going to be the other. So I think Texas is full of people now that were not there 5 years ago. And it's a very different place now, I think. Which is crazy to think about.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's we are in new territory with this now.
They're getting what they asked for. Mayor Eric Adams out of New York, who was, New York is a, sanctuary city, and all of these mayors that were promoting this as a sanctuary city are now saying, he basically said the migrant crisis will destroy New York City. Well, how about we vote Republican for a change and let's stop that? Because he has what did they say? He has 300,000 illegal immigrants in New York that are costing $7 billion a year to deal with. Texas has how many million illegal immigrants, and you want them to stop busing people? Why don't we give them some help?
Oh. Well, it's, I don't know where this is going, but as I said, I do think that we're beginning to see, I think, the seeds of balkanization of the United States. I hate being a pessimist when it comes to this, but I don't see this getting better. And short of, I'll be very curious if it comes down to it now. What the feds can do, the feds can federalize the National Guard.
Well, there was some talk about that, and I'm not sure that's an easy plan as they think it's going to be. Because right now, the governor has declared an emergency,
right,
which might prohibit Biden from doing that. So it may, if he'd have done it before the emergency, that's one thing. But I think I heard somebody talking on the talk radio today that might be a little bit harder now that he's declared an invasion emergency. So I'm not sure he can do that. Well, but then you have to wonder also, is that why Biden wanting military-aged men crossing the border to start his own army?
Could be. Right now...
Hey, I'm going to give you free access to your permanent visa or U.S. citizenship. Come join my army and let's go beat up Texas.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but...
Well, we don't know about that, but,
right.
He's the one who opened his mouth. I'm just repeating what he said.
Right. I don't think he's forming an army, but I do think that it's, military-aged men, I think, is probably, like you were talking about before, about, voting age. But you can't say the term voting age.
But he didn't say voting age. He specifically said military.
Because politically you can't say voting age because obviously that's going to be too, I think. But you can say something, to the tune of military age, and I think it would.
Well, this whole thing got started on January 10th. When the Texas authorities effectively blocked U.S. Border Patrol agents from a 2.5 mile wide area in Eagle Pass, which had seen a surge in migrant crossings. This area includes Shelby Park, a city park on the Rio Grande that is now fenced off with gates and razor wire, impeding the Border Patrol's access. On January 12th, after the Texas Military Department seized and secured Shelby Park, 2 children and a mother drowned in a nearby part of the Rio Grande. Now Texas and U.S. officials are accusing each other of contributing to the circumstances surrounding the tragedy.
I think I remember reading something about that recently this week about how the I think it was the Texas. It was somebody from Texas doing border control stuff, and he was saying that it's we have to stop this because I'm tired of, or not tired. I think it's sad, and I don't want to start to keep taking bodies of children and families and people, out of the water, from.
Well, I that's why, I don't know, they need to do something.
Well, they got to think about this. In 2021, 44% of U.S. immigrants were Hispanic. What are the other people doing in Mexico?
Because the cartels.
No, I understand why, but you have to think about that. That's more than 50% of them are from India and China.
Right.
Why are so many people magically in Mexico trying to cross the border?
Well, because it's open.
I understand that.
Right. It's crazy.
Supreme Court, yeah. I remember that it was a 5-4 vote that allowed Border Patrol agents to remove razor wire set up by the Texas governor.
Really?
Yeah. That was that case. And that was where I believe John Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett, Amy Coney Barrett, I believe it's one of the new justices. She sided with the Democrats.
Mm-hmm. They should be removed.
John Roberts is from a conservative, hoping that you would have gotten a guy that would be a little bit more conservative in his approach. He's not necessarily lived up to that billing.
Wow. That's crazy to think about. So does that mean that they're actively trying to...
Well, I mean, it's come down to, it's Biden has said you're going to give access to the Border Patrol, and Texas military is saying no.
Wow.
So that's what I'm saying. When it comes right down to it, who's going to blink?
Right.
Who's going to blink?
I don't think Texas is right now.
Because they got the moral high ground on this, because
right.
Everybody's saying these cities that are getting inundated with these migrants, it's like, you do your job, Mr. President.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, yeah, I know we're the same party, but, our cities are getting destroyed.
Right.
And it's because you're not doing anything because of some deal you've got going on.
Right.
That you want this to happen. That's where I think where the problem comes in with some of this stuff is I just think there's some nefarious things going on with this. I mean, I can't think of any person who loves America wants to see this. Just chaos like this. I mean, and the thing is, you always get this thing as well. You're against immigrants. No. Nothing wrong with immigration, but immigration should be controlled.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
there should be a process.
Fun thing about that was there was 4 dissents: Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, Neil Gorsuch, and Brett Kavanaugh. All dissented. That means Chief Justice John Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett were in the majority, with the Democrat-appointed justices Sonia Sotomayor, or however you pronounce her name.
Sotomayor, I believe.
Elena Keegan and Brown Jackson.
Yeah, well.
So, but we had 4 of them completely dissent. So, they're not even voting on this, or, that's kind of crazy right there.
Is that just a control thing that they would not vote for?
Well, I think they're making it to it. They weren't actually coming out and saying, yes, you can go do that. They were saying, we're going to just let the lower court handle it right now.
Okay.
So they haven't received it.
Got it.
They're just saying whatever that lower court said.
Right. Interesting.
It's a mess.
Ooh,
and now you've got truckers. Now you have, I think there were 7 states that sent National Guard to Texas to help out.
Mm-hmm.
And 1 state sent their militia.
Wow.
Their state militia to go help out. And Texas is calling for volunteers, former military, law enforcement, etc., to come help out. Because here's what Biden doesn't understand. Any sheriff in Texas can deputize anybody that can legally possess a gun and make them their deputy, and then go and enforce the Constitution and protect the Constitution. So any of these people that aren't in law enforcement or the military now can be deputized and legally protect the Constitution and our border.
Wow.
And Biden's not thinking about that. He goes in there and starts shooting people, he's going to be in a bind because that's treason. What he's doing now is treasonous.
Yeah.
What he's doing now by not protecting our border and allowing the drugs and the human trafficking. I mean, that was a great episode with Father Bahi, finding out how many young girls and boys are being sex trafficked and labor trafficked.
It's all coming across the border.
It's all coming across the border. Hello.
Right.
And it's just unbelievable. And how can you be that out of touch with what your constituents want?
Right.
See, he's not our leader. He's supposed to be our representative.
Right. But I mean,
and that's what they've forgotten.
I think it. I mean, I don't want to be mean, but I mean,
be mean.
I don't think he ever has been our leader.
No.
I think it's everyone else has been our leader. Everyone else that is talking through him has been our leader. Has been our quote unquote representative. Like I feel bad because I don't think I have anything against Biden because I don't think Biden understands what's going on. You see what I'm saying? Like I feel like he's so. I mean, I mean this in the most respectful way possible, but like I fully don't think that he is coherent of all the decisions that are being made, or I don't think he's in the right mind to make a decision.
He's a puppet. Right. Somebody's got his hand so far up his ass they can move his mouth.
Right.
And that's why it comes out sounding stupid some of the times it does.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. It's like I know that we have to point our finger at somebody, and he's obviously the leader of the country, but it's like I more so want to just push him to the side and see who really is making the decisions. Which I think I have some ideas,
that comes into the next problem, okay? Because can he last another 8 more years? I mean, 4 more years.
Yeah.
I don't think he can.
I don't think he can.
So I think, now he's got to look at who his next vice president's going to be, because it cannot be Kamala Harris, because they'll lose. They'll lose.
Yeah.
So does he go all the way till about a month before or 2 before the election and then drop out, and they put Michelle Obama in the list thinking that she can win? That's what I heard somebody talking about today.
I've heard that name pop up, but I don't know if she would or not. Who knows? I mean, her and they're worth a lot of money now, so it's not like why would I want all that trouble?
Well, Trump was worth all that money. And
I know, but Trump's a bit different type of deal. But I mean, did y'all see this Take Our Border Back convoy?
Yes.
Did y'all mention that already?
No, mentioned the truckers were on their way.
Okay, well, that's what it's called. It's called Take Our Border Back convoy. It's starting, I'm seeing here, it's set to begin February 3rd. And it will span the cities from Virginia Beach, Virginia to Eagle Pass, Texas.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Truck gathering will branch off and hold rallies in Arizona, California, and Texas.
Which, if I might, that is another movie for your other podcast, Convoy.
Okay.
You remember that one, don't you, Jason? Convoy. Y'all need to see Convoy. That was a great movie.
What was the area in Texas you were talking about? You said Virginia Beach, Virginia
to Eagle Pass, Texas.
Eagle Pass, Texas, where all this is going on.
That's where it all started.
Right.
Okay.
That's where the showdown with the Texas military.
Oh, 1,700 miles.
Yeah.
And it passes right through Louisiana. The I-10 area like we're talking about, straight through, all the way. So why did they choose Virginia Beach specifically there? Is it...
That I don't know. Maybe there's a reason it starts there.
Or is there like I guess, is that like a port where they
I don't really know. What's the...
Because, I mean, that line right there is literally, it's cutting off, it's cutting through all the states and all of Florida as well.
It's just, and all of this is not necessary if they would just do their job.
To do their job. That's right.
Fulfill the law.
But what they're afraid of now, and we've talked about the pendulum on the podcast before. We've talked about it numerous times for many things.
Of course.
But we had the pendulum swing toward the liberals, and now America's getting tired of it. And now the pendulum is swinging back toward the conservatives, and the liberals are scared to death that they're going to lose ground, and they are willing to do anything, include risk a civil war or world war,
right,
to accomplish that. And that's not a good sight for the future of America right now.
Definitely not.
Well, as I said, I think you're starting to see the seeds being planted of the balkanization of America.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. And I hate to say that, but I think people have forgotten how this country was formed and the idea behind it. There was a fundamental shift in the relationship of the federal government to the states before the Civil War and after the Civil War. And it profoundly changed because I think in many ways they forgot Article 10 of the United States Constitution, where anything not specifically enumerated to the federal government is reserved for the states.
Mm-hmm.
And they just kind of run roughshod over that nowadays because what they'll use now is the 14th Amendment, which was the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment were post-Civil War amendments added to the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, the 14th Amendment has been so abused and has given the federal government every excuse in the book to basically intervene in every state for every little issue. But this idea that somehow the federal government is this lord over us is just not what the founders envisioned on here. It just wasn't. It was this idea that, look, the states, we come together and we can take care of our own business, but you feds have certain things you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Otherwise, what's the point of being part of the United States?
Well, it was so originally a loose group of states that saw a bigger future. Instead of being 13 individual countries, let's come together, let's pool our resources, and have a federal government that protects us,
right,
but doesn't interfere.
Right.
And that's what it's supposed to be. If California wants to go over there and 75% of their citizens want to vote to make handguns illegal, I think they should be able to do that because this is a free country. But when all the criminals that are getting shot from Florida, Mississippi, Alabama, West Virginia, and Texas go to California because it's safer to do their jobs, you should not be able to petition the federal government for money. You made the choice to get rid of guns. You get to deal with it now. Figure it out.
Well, see, I would a little pushback on that because I do believe that the United States Constitution grants the right to bear arms.
Absolutely.
So I think where I have my problems is when things are not explicitly spelled out in the Constitution and you're kind of making stuff up in thin air.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I have my problems with things and ruling, well, this is unconstitutional. Well, why is it unconstitutional? Does it say that in the Constitution?
Well, what we're trying to do is we're trying to push rights that aren't in the Constitution on us and take our rights away that are in the Constitution because
it's a backwards way of trying to run things. I've always said they need to quit trying to force everybody to be the same because you can't.
Well,
we're different people.
Did you know that Joe Biden is trying to get a law passed that everybody in America has to buy a snowblower now?
Pretty much. These things that come out.
You need a snowblower, don't you, Ian?
Nope. These things.
You need one, don't you?
These things that are now.
Well, the whole point is that we're loose states that come together, that have an agreement to work together for a common good, and we all don't agree on everything.
And that's
fine. You don't
fine.
have to. And that's what I'm saying. I'm being kind of, sarcastic with the California and the gun laws because I am a 2A person.
Right.
I'm a concealed weapons instructor, firearms instructor, blah, blah, blah. But the point of it is I was trying to make the point, if they want to do something and they want to vote on it, they should be able to do that and then suffer the consequences.
Well,
if they want to be a sanctuary state, take them. But you cannot then ask the federal government for help. What's good in one state may not necessarily be good in another state.
Well, the fact of the matter is none of those cities would do what they did if they know that there was no federal money coming.
Exactly.
Period.
Now you're getting on it.
I mean, let's be honest. If every city was just operating on its own and had to rely either on its own state or its own finances to do something, probably wouldn't do it.
What was it? The federal government used to try to hold $1 billion of funds from Louisiana for their highways while they were under Napoleonic law, and says, if you don't get rid of Napoleonic law, we're going to hold this $1 billion and you're not going to have funds for your infrastructure. You remember that? I mean, come on. It's all bribery. It's all,
Well, that's the only thing the feds can do.
That's it.
They can dangle the carrot.
Right.
And as I said, the only time that you're going to see change is all of a sudden when the federal government can't do it anymore. Because once they get rid of that, once that trump card is gone from the federal arsenal,
states have to take their rights back. The Constitution guarantees the states' rights. And what we have to do is we have to take that back. And Texas is doing that. The governor has declared an emergency of invasion, which is very specific in their wording. And they are taking their rights back to defend their people, and they are arresting people. They are deporting people. And now 25 governors and states have come in support of Texas.
Yeah, and guess what? Those are generally states that are going to probably vote red.
Right.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, right. I think it's still interesting that it's...
Now, I would venture to say a lot of blue state mayors would probably deep down, if they're truly honest with themselves.
Well, look at Eric Adams.
Yeah.
He's saying it's going to destroy my city. I've got a $12 billion deficit in New York City, and I'm going to have to cut city services to take care of this immigration problem. Really? So what, you going to stop picking up garbage?
Right.
What are you going to do? Stop repairing your roads? And in New York City, what are we going to do? Not salt the roadways now in the wintertime? Let's see how that goes. Let's see how your city fares after you stop doing that. But how about we stop faking this sanctuary city bullshit and start protecting our border and start taking care of the people in America first?
Right.
We lose 22 to 25 veterans to suicide a day. How many veterans are homeless in America? But yet we want to house illegal aliens, but we don't want to house our veterans?
Well, I always like to hear what Elon Musk has to say about this, because he put out a statement on this. He says, no laws need to be passed. All that is needed is an executive order to require proof before granting an asylum hearing.
Mm-hmm.
This is how it used to be.
Yes.
In a separate tweet, Musk continued, building a wall is a red herring. No wall is needed to fix this situation. Border Patrol is being instructed to facilitate illegal entry at scale into the United States. The fundamental problem is that anyone can claim asylum with zero proof, which means all of the earth can come to America, the tech billionaire added. So,
Well, I agree with that and I disagree. We do need the wall.
Oh, I definitely...
We do need the wall. But he's right about the other parts. Where's your proof? No, my feelings are hurt. They're so mean to me. They're keeping me in poverty. And then they want to change America into what their third world country was. How about you just go back, figure it out, make the change, be the change that you want for your country instead of trying to turn America into the shithole you just came from. I mean, Venezuela was the #1 South American country, oil exporter, gas exporter.
It was a rich country.
It was a rich country, and then they took over socialism, and now
Hugo Chavez.
that's it. And now they are nothing.
Yep.
They are the lowest country in South America.
Well, Biden has said he has put pressure on Congress to pass his bipartisan bill, which includes 1,300 Border Patrol agents, 375 immigration judges, 1,600 asylum officers, and over 100 cutting-edge inspection machines.
How many border agents?
1,300.
Okay, 1,300 from the same president that got 87,000 IRS agents and is training them to arm them. So you need 87,000 IRS agents to attack Americans, but only 1,300 border, and that's going to help you.
That's what I'm saying. We're more interested right now. This administration, at least to me, seems more interested in attacking its own citizens than actually protecting its citizens, protecting the country from people coming in from outside the country. I mean, it's I'm saying, this is fantasy land. Sometimes I feel like this is not even Disney World. It's something else.
I'm sorry, but I'm thinking that Hunter Biden's not the only one's doing the cocaine in the White House right now. Smoking the magic weed, and because something's wrong. 1,300. That's
13,
all.
That's it.
What the hell is that going to do to anything?
That's the whole point. It's not going to.
It's not. Yeah,
it's all these things that it's feel good stuff. Look what I've done. Look what I've wanted. I'm trying to help, and all these bad people in the opposition party is blocking.
Well, what's going to happen is he knows it's going to be defeated, and then that dumb lady, the media person, is going to say, well, the Republicans don't want border control because they voted against our bill. Really? How about you give us something that'll actually work that we can vote for, and then let's do it?
I mean, it's just, this is, I'm telling you, we are in a different world right now. And as I said, we got an election year coming up this year. All kind of shenanigans are going to be going on, because I'm going to tell you,
right.
Democrats are going to fight tooth and nail to stay in power. They're going to fight tooth and nail, and they'll do whatever they have to do to win.
Like I had posed before the show, how we're talking about new topics for the coming weeks, and I was talking about the potential of, like, what does it look like, the whole beginnings of, a presidential election and all that stuff that goes on with it, because I would like to learn more about it, and I think it's a great opportunity to talk about it, because this is a big year. I think it's a big year for a number of reasons. So, I mean,
well, we'll have probably plenty of opportunities as the year progresses to talk about topics that come up.
You're right.
I'm sure there's some things that are going to pop up that we don't even know about right now.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it happens. So,
and we do try to keep some light and fluffy on the show, but sometimes you just kind of have to take a stand and talk about some of the heavy-hitting things that are in the world right now, and this is just one of them, because this could, as bad as you were looking at World War III with the Ukraine and the Israeli conflict, now are we looking at a possible civil war in America?
Right.
Because Americans are tired of the swing the other way.
Right.
I mean, the thousands of the children of this country that are being plagued by the fentanyl crisis. How many deaths? I mean, I don't have the number of deaths, but I know it's in the thousands.
Yeah, I know we talked about it on the episode.
About what's going on, the amount of that drug that's coming across the border right now, and they want a few high-tech inspection stations to. Yeah. And it's like, really.
Well, for that to work, you have to board off the rest of the line. So you can't have those high-tech stations unless you wall off everything else and force everything to come through your little high-tech inspection stations.
I'm telling you.
So you're going to need the wall anyway.
I'm in favor of a wall the size of Hadrian's Wall during the Roman Empire in Britain, where it was a wall.
Can we still put razor wire on it, please?
And you could probably put more.
Okay.
If it was up to me.
Yeah.
But
Right.
it would be a series of forts
Mm-hmm.
along the border
Yes.
with a giant wall between them.
I agree.
And that way you man it with your own military.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You can control the border quick.
And you put a flag out there. Do not cross or you will be shot. So if you come across that line, guess whose fault that
you
is?
shot or you'd be immediately arrested.
Right.
You know, that's it. You will be detained.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you will be sent to the processing area.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily believe in shooting people just to shoot them, but I mean,
I think the way the law reads, if you get deported, you don't go back to your country. You go back to the country you came from. So if they're coming from Mexico, even if they're Indian, Venezuelan, or Chinese, they have to go back to Mexico. Well, I tell you what, I guarantee you, if you start sending these people back to Mexico and let them start dealing with it, they're going to help you build the wall because they're going to get tired of getting these people back 4 and 5 times.
well, it should be. I mean,
I tell you what, I can guarantee you right now, I can guarantee you by tomorrow, I can have Mexico building the wall. I can guarantee it.
with the right incentives.
One incentive. Tell them right now, hold a press conference and say, we are sending every Democrat politician to Mexico. They'll build the freaking wall for you.
Yeah.
Think about that.
I think it just some common sense things need to be done.
Right.
To secure the border, which it can be. Okay, no border is 100%.
No,
I mean, it's not.
No.
But we can do a whole lot better than what we're doing
No,
right
I mean,
now.
Look at what they've done in San Diego when they keep finding all the tunnels. Look at all the tunnels in Israel from Gaza.
There's always
there's always
going
a way
to
to get
be
around
dealing with that. I mean, that's just the way it is.
That's why you want your military involved with sound equipment and all their neat little gadgets and
I mean,
using 5th generation weapon systems.
Right. Prior to World War II, that's where the military was.
Yes.
Was on the border.
It's on the border.
Right.
It wasn't all overseas.
And it's considering how much battle we're going to be doing in the Middle East. Using the sand is a great place to train, isn't it?
Right.
Because Jimmy Carter found out firsthand, if you're not ready for the sand, you're not going to do anything when he tried to go save the hostages, and every vehicle we had crapped out because they didn't know how to fight and fly in the sand. Now, all of our equipment now is ready for the sand because they made some changes because of that failed mission to go get, and then Ronald Reagan gets into office and they release them that day. Because they were scared to death of him.
Exactly. Well, there's so many similarities I see between Reagan and Trump as far as how people viewed him. Because I remember at the time when Reagan got elected, Reagan's going to get us in World War III. It was that's all you heard. Star Wars and SDI. Oh, it's all coming.
And without a war, he defeated the Soviet Union.
Right. The only people that gets us in wars, it seems, is when Democrats are in power.
Because they
That's what it is.
They are paid by the military complex.
Well, I have my
we'll have that for another day.
Military industrial complex. Everyone, that's a whole different topic, and I've got a lot of things to say about that.
Can we play with that one day? Can we add that to the whiteboard?
Right. Yeah.
Because I have a friend who might like to come on that one.
Yeah.
Well, if there's nothing else you want to add to this one.
There is one I would like to add.
Okay.
In a future episode, we are going to have a friend of ours come on, Ask the Mortician. So if any of our listeners have any questions that you've wanted to ask a mortician, please write us at getoffendedtogether@gmail.com. Or some of you have my phone number and text. Please feel free to use it.
Yeah.
And if you feel comfortable, give us your first name and the question that you have for a mortician. And we may ask this every episode for a couple of episodes till we get enough questions. And then we'll get our friend on. I think that's an interesting subject of the history of death, basically.
Yeah.
And so if you have any questions, ask the mortician. Feel free to write in or call me or something.
Right. Yeah.
And we'll get you on the air.
Right.
Perfect. I'm looking forward to it.
I love that. It's a great call to action. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be. I think it's
Do
gonna
you
be fun.
have to think about y'all's questions
yeah, I
too?
have some.
So
I already
there
have
may be
some.
some research involved.
Right. All right. Well, with all that out the way, thank you so much for listening. Bye bye.
Goodbye, everyone. God bless.
You're the best. Thank you for joining us today. Peace.